Hey there. Are you ready to test your higher consciousness skills? Are you aware of what is of higher consciousness, higher power, and higher truths? Well, let's see in this week's weekly dose of higher consciousness quiz. Hey there, my name is Liz Garcia. I'm your happy host of Trumpeter of Truth Radio.com on my podcast and Trumpeter of Truth TV.com on my YouTube channel. This is the place to discover what I call the foundational basics and essential understandings for raising your level of consciousness and building a better life. I support this intention by putting power and truth into context based on consciousness research by Dr. David R. Hawkins and the Map of Consciousness, which is a proven energy scale to actualize your ultimate human potential. And I have the book here that I highly recommend, which is the easier version of the Map of Consciousness Explained. And this video cast and podcast was created to help go deeper and provide insights into my own experience of the Map of Consciousness and the letting go mechanism and how to raise your own level of consciousness and build a better life. And it's nice to have a teacher that's experienced the vastness of consciousness, which I have, as well as Dr. Hawkins has. And that's how I came kind of into alignment with his teachings, is because I went as high as I felt like was 850. I read about it, described the level of 850, at least in the 700s for sure, of the mystical realm. Someone else did a calibration for me, and they calibrated in the 700s as to the highest that I've experienced. And then the lowest, which is off the charts low at negative 285. So I've spanned the map, and I've been in the presence of very high levels of consciousness, what can only be described as God intoxicated ecstasy, the presence of God and oneness, and the presence of divinity in your life. Inner joy, bursting with inner joy and love and gratitude for life itself. So that's what this is. That has nothing to do with the quiz today, but it kind of sort of does. So I created this monthly quiz so that I could put things into context so you can start to get where true power is, where truth exists at different levels. There's all levels of truth. It's vast. The map of consciousness is vast. Anything above 200 on the map of consciousness holds different levels of truth. And the higher you go up the map, the greater the level of truth. And when you break free of the 400s and you get into the 500s, you're actually getting into spiritual truths, which are quite different than lower mind egoic truths, just so you know. So today's weekly dose of higher consciousness quiz is looking at three things. And I typically look at three. Sometimes I go into 4 or 5 things, but today it's just going to be 3. So which is of highest consciousness? Is it hardworking, playfulness or playing, or having a sense of humor? Those are the 3 things. And I want you to feel your way into it, intuit your way into it, and see how good you are at recognizing higher levels of consciousness energetically. And remember, consciousness levels are simply energetic fields. They're attractor fields. And I like to kind of liken the energy of it to gas in the tank. Like, how much gas in the tank is there to be hardworking? How much gas in the tank is there to be playful? Like, is hardworking going to get you far? Is playfulness going to get you further? Or is having a sense of humor going to get you even farther? That's kind of the analogy I like to learn to use to help you understand energy fields, power. It's just like a source of energy. So this is a super interesting one. And I'm going to tell you the answer to it shortly. But this is the video. This is my weekly quiz. I'd like to introduce you to our sponsor, the mindbodyspiritnetwork.com, which is a website that has consciously created and curated content to help you raise your level of consciousness and be the change you want to be in your life. And there's so much stuff out there whose level of consciousness is low. And you wouldn't know any better, and I wouldn't know any better in the absence of consciousness calibrations to tell us the truth of anything. So I've done my best in curating free online virtual events from luminary healers, visionary thought leaders, and agents of change throughout the world on a vast variety of topics: mind, body, spirit, transformation, all of them, as well as online courses. So I curate the ones that I feel are of higher consciousness, and some teachers that I know are of higher consciousness. And the partners that I work with, I have calibrated as to their business level of consciousness. So I've done my best to fine tune the offerings so that you can be more assured that what you're receiving is of higher truth and can actually shift you. You can't be shifted from a teacher who teaches something that holds no truth. You can be brought down the scale of consciousness and feel bitter and resentful and angry and hateful, as an example, which you don't want to do. You want to expose yourself to the truth of whatever topic it is that you're interested in, and make sure that you're working with a teacher that has integrity, intelligence, and intention to serve your highest good. So that's what the Mind, Body, Spirit Network is all about. And that's where you'll find, we probably have 4 virtual events a week on so many interesting topics like shamanism, ancestral healing, intuitive medicine, what are the goodies? Energy healing, mediumship, understanding how to connect with the spirit world. So many fascinating things to learn about in the mind, body, spirit realm. And then many of those events turn into online courses. So I also curate some online courses from pretty, established teachers of higher consciousness to help move you, personal development or spiritual growth, stuff like that. And in addition to free tools for transformation that you can use too. Many of the stuff is free, except for the online courses that you would eventually purchase if you found the teacher's webinar of value to you. So I want you to check out the mindbodyspiritnetwork.com. We have an app that you can download on your phone. And this is where you'll find episodes and connections to your weekly dose of higher consciousness as well. And we have members that are service providers and professionals in the realm of mind, body, and spirit. So that's how I plug that I like to give during every quiz, and totally recommend you go check us out if you're enjoying what we're all about. So the answer to today's quiz: which one do you think is of highest consciousness? Is it hardworking? Is it playful or playing? Or is it a good sense of humor, or just to have a sense of humor? And let me double check the answers on this one, make sure I got it, the exact calibrations for you. And these calibrations came from Dr. Hawkins' books. It's probably Truth versus Falsehood, Power versus Force. It could have been any of the books. And now I'm not seeing it. Hold on, let me just look. All right, I know the answer to this, so. Okay, so, geez, hold on. Here's my, okay, here we go. Which is, let's start with the one that is of highest consciousness. Playing. To be playful and having fun and playing at whatever you do calibrates at 375 on the map of consciousness. That's huge. That, by the way, is the level of consciousness known as worldly success. So playing is at 375 or 10 to the 375th power. Having a sense of humor is next up which is a powerful way of being, super powerful. If you want to manifest what you want in your life, these are good attractor fields to be a part of, which is why I think, doing what you love and having work be play is how you're going to be successful. Why it's always recommended to love what you do. So if you find something that you love what you do and you're not working, it's playing, you're going to manifest like a mambo jumbo or big kahuna if you're doing it from the energy of play and having a sense of humor. So sense of humor calibrates at 345 on the map of consciousness, which is 10 to the 345th power, which is huge. And playing is a quantum leap up at 10 to the 375th power. So those two ways of being are significant and they're going to have a ripple effect throughout your life. So if you can take that to heart and lighten up, you're much better off than, hanging out in lower levels of consciousness for sure. You're not going to get what you want complaining, judging, criticizing, and being miserable. Period. The end. And the lowest level of consciousness, which is still higher consciousness, is hard working. And I loved to recognize this because when I was young, I owned a restaurant and I friggin' worked my butt off and understood what hard working was. It was never ending hard work to run a seasonal restaurant on an island in Nantucket, by the way. Morning Glory Cafe. I'll just put a plug in. It was the Morning Glory Cafe on Nantucket. I worked so hard and played hard, but it was exhausting. So take a look at hard working as 200 on the map of consciousness. You have gas in your tank to create what you want at 200 for sure. But if I had been having more fun and had an even better sense of humor during the whole process of owning and running that restaurant, I would have been even more successful. I mean, I was successful, and there was a mix of all of that going on. But understand, if you're caught in this hardworking mentality, lighten up. Say, how can I be more playful at work? How can I allow a good sense of humor at work and really help fuel the manifestation of the life? This is how you raise your level of consciousness. That's the whole point of this. And build a better life is learn to be more playful, have a sense of humor, watch good, clean comedies that make you laugh, like make you laugh out loud, and really cultivate that sense of humor. And to even pray for it and be grateful for a good sense of humor is a good idea as well. That's just some tips that I've learned in my own process of raising my level of consciousness. So that's today's weekly dose of higher consciousness quiz. I hope you enjoyed that. And I'm not sure what next week's topic is. No, yes, I do know what it is. Do I know what it is? I don't know what it is. Never mind. You're just going to have to wait and find out. I will see you next week.